Hello and welcome, ladies. So tonight is a special edition of Empower Academy. We're going to be doing a love success interview with Tracy Seymour. So Tracy and I met. Welcome, Tracy. First of all,
Yeah, sorry. I was waving to someone. Anyway, yeah.
It's great to see you. And so we met. I think it was about 2 years ago, right?
Yes, correct. Yes.
Yeah, I think did you come to one of my Lemons to Lemonades workshop? I'm trying to remember how that all connected.
Yeah, it was your lemons to lemonade, and I remember it was like the end of July, 1st of August. So it was kind of right around this time in summer, and I just happened to come across it, and I'm like, that kind of sounds neat. And yeah, that was our first opportunity in meeting.
Awesome. And, so much has changed for you in the last 2 years. I mean, even in the first year, it's really, you're one of those people where it's like, holy cow, like total life makeover. But let's start by, where you were at when we first met, because as I recall, I remember you being at the 2-day event,
Yeah.
and your energy wasn't super high at the time. You weren't feeling very great. So maybe you can share with the ladies where you were at that point.
Yeah. So I suppose in regards to when I met Karen in the July, the Lemons to Lemonade, I had that point had been separated for almost close to 3 years. So my children were still relatively young. I was pretty busy. And at that point, I had started online dating so I'd started in March and I did 6 months. So that would have finished right at September. So, I floundered through that. I definitely, I remember when I met you in the July, I kind of went, yeah, okay, there's definitely a few things I'm, not doing right. And I just remember at that point, and I remember me and you followed up. Actually, we had a personal conversation a little while later in September, and you had recommended your program to me. And I said, no, it was too expensive. And no, I didn't really think so. And I was going to still determine to figure this out myself. And then when I went to your November session, I kind of said, you know what, I've tried to do this myself. And at that point, I'd had, 3 good years of putting a brave face on and, being a good mom and, keeping down a full-time job. But other than that, there was work to be done, and I really wasn't in a good spot. I wasn't happy. And I didn't know how, and I didn't know because I'd put on the brave face and I had, not complained and, tried to, grumble my way through it or have the glass of wine with the girls and, say some, interesting conversations on wine night. But I kind of just really felt that, no, this isn't working. And me and you just really seem to fit, because in regards to, your approach with your programs, it was finally, okay, this is the one person that actually understands where I am and actually understands, so you knew the path, but I just kind of had faith in, okay, she seems to know, how to do this, and I'm going to follow her instructions. So that was kind of my leap of faith with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really glad we connected. I mean, you've been a star client, so to speak. But I think at that time, so the dating thing was off, but if I remember correctly, so was the job. You were kind of a little bit stuck in a rut there too. And I
Yeah.
seem to remember one of the things you said over and over again at the beginning was there was just no space in your life for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that was a large part of it. I suppose in one sense, people would describe that I was doing okay. I had a job, and, the kids were relatively happy and healthy, and I should be good, but I wasn't happy in my job. I just looked at the obstacles in front of me were insurmountable. So I felt stuck. My family, all of my family whom I'm close to, live in Newfoundland. So I felt stuck in the province, kind of stuck in the city. Just really, I felt exhausted. Like I just felt, I am so exhausted trying to get through the day to get what needs to be done. I'm like, I don't have any time to, to even enjoy myself. Like and that's kind of where I was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I remember. I remember you were so tired. It was all you could do to be on the calls, because I remember there were some days you were just so exhausted, right? And
Oh yeah.
I think you were even in bed a lot of the times. You were just really, really pooped, right? So, but then things started changing pretty quickly for you. I think some of the changes even started happening while you were still in the program. So can you maybe walk the ladies through, what happened in what order and what has changed for you since then? Because a lot has changed.
What did? Um, in terms of, I think what the program did for me, and a lot of it, I kind of, I suppose I just listened to you and you kind of told me to do my homework. And sometimes I'd come to class and be like, I didn't do my homework. I'm just too tired. I didn't get it done. But I tried, and I would try to get as much done as I could. And some of the things or the exercises we did, I was like, oh, this isn't for me. Like tapping was like, oh, this is so out of my realm. I'm such a black and white, conservative individual, but I did it. And I think it's just started sinking, or some of it started sinking. And I think I started to get a bit of energy, which gave me a bit more energy. And it's the whole bit of, you can't roll uphill with the snowball, but if you're on the other side and you're going down, you kind of got a bit of momentum going with one thing. So I had gotten out of my job. I had managed to, a bad luck circumstance turned somehow around, and I got an acting position. So that was a big stressor. So suddenly now I was in a good place. And ironically too, and it was unknown to you and it was unknown to most of the girls that I was going through, that I had actually met Andre in that September. So I had started your course, I think it was the December. I didn't tell anyone I was in a relationship at that point, because I didn't, the course at that point had nothing to do with me and the relationship. It had to do with me figuring out who I was and where I was, and how do I figure it out, and how do I make time for myself. And so I had a complete shift that never in my whole life had I ever thought of me, because I was, I always did what my parents told me. And then I kind of, did what I was supposed to as a wife and as a mother. And I never had any point in my life that I ever even thought of, well, what do I want? And the actual fact that I could do what I wanted. I could actually do these things, right? And I never ever believed it. I never believed it was possible. So as we were going through the course, the majority of the course, I had actually at that point had started dating Andre. And I didn't want to tell any of you guys, because I didn't want him to be the subject, because I was on my path to, to improving myself and to building my resistance or my resilience. And, I was on that piece, and it really had nothing to do at that point with him. And I think so for the first time I was in this relationship that I just came into the relationship as myself, and just was truly myself. And he was truly himself. And I kind of felt like, if this works, great. If it doesn't, I got myself. And I never believed that before. So I think it was just a radical difference, that I'd never ever had that confidence, I suppose, well, if it doesn't work out, it's not meant to work out, and that's it. And so it kind of kept going with there's going to be something go wrong. And I kept waiting for something to go wrong, because I'm like, something has to go wrong. And it never did, and no, we're still together today. And, but that was, the course really was for me about finding myself. And I think once I did, the job changed, my relationship with Andre, developed, my kids. I kind of was saying, well, like, I'm doing everything I can for my kids, but the more energy I had, the better a mom I was, so that kind of became easier. So it wasn't so much of a job to be a mom. It was just easier. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the great things about that, Tracy, because I often say to people when they're doing the Transform Your Life program, I recommend not dating, because when women start dating, doing the program, they tend to get distracted by the guy and they drop themselves. And that's the exact habit we're trying to break, right? And to get women used to putting themselves first and creating a stable foundation in their life, that's based around their career, their passions, their interests, their energy, their needs, their wants. And you did a really great job of balancing that. I remember once you did reveal to us that you were seeing somebody, I remember saying, don't, keep going with the program. And you said, oh, I am.
Oh, yes.
You did. You did the whole kit and caboodle. And, it's fun for me watching somebody's energy change, because you were so exhausted at the beginning and then you just kept getting brighter and lighter, and just everything kept shifting for you. And it started with the job and then meeting Andre. And then there's been some developments since then too. So how about you share with the ladies what's happened since then?
Yeah. So I suppose, up to last summer, I was doing the academy for a bit with two of the ladies here. Then actually myself and Andre last summer decided to buy a house together. So we were going to put the families together, the set of children. So it was his son at that point, 15, my 13-year-old son, and my 10-year-old daughter. So we embarked on that. And so that was the summer. We sold my house. Then we moved into this one in September and October-ish between the two of us. And then in February, just a few months ago, I suppose, we got engaged. And now we are in the process of trying to plan a wedding. So
in the midst of a pandemic.
It's just a pandemic, and my family's in Newfoundland, and what are we going to do? And yes, so it's as I was telling Karen, I said we're contemplating the idea of doing two ceremonies, to do an actual small ceremony with my Andre's family, and because they're all pretty much Ottawa, and a few close friends, and all of our children, and then do a renewal of vows ceremony once we can get on a plane and go to Newfoundland. So anyway, so he's kind of cute, and he's thinking, well, do we get an extra set of bands, and do we get an extra set of wedding bands? And anyway, it's just, I'm like, I don't know, I think we can use the same. No, it'd be kind of cute to have some for the Newfie wedding and some for the Ottawa wedding. So anyway, it's all very interesting, because we had to order his actual wedding band for the real one. We had to order it online because you can't go and buy any one, so it didn't fit, so we had to send it back and to get another one. So you just kind of go with the flow of, I can't really imagine I'm picking out his band on the computer, and little Pure Later guy dropped it off, didn't even sign for it. I was like, oh my goodness gracious. But those are the fun things now that we're just kind of just laughing at, going, okay, all good.
So how did you guys meet back in?
We met on Match, actually. So we met online, and it was, and I do remember, it was the last week of August, the third week in August. I'm a planner, so I had signed up for Match March 1st. It was ending September 1st. I was, in around, August, I was like, oh, forget this isn't working. Like, I was, after I'd gone to your lemonade thing, I'm thinking, okay, this, I'm floundering. I'm going to give it up. But I'm like, okay, I have 4 weeks left. I will just put a brave face on and see what happens in the next 4 weeks. So I was trying to be open-minded, and I was trying to, see people outside my, I suppose what was my typical person I was dating was the typical engineer, which was very resembled to my ex-husband, which wasn't working out very well. So I said, okay, I'm just gonna expand my horizons, just give it a try. And he was a teacher, or is a teacher, phys ed teacher, which is completely against my black and white conservative, policy, public servant job, and definitely not an athlete myself. So we just start chatting, and it was easy. And then I suddenly had myself agreeing that I was going to go rollerblading. And then I'm like, oh, I'm going to go rollerblading with this guy that I think I like. And I haven't been on rollerblades in 12 years. And I was thinking, what have I done? And I was just thinking, oh my goodness gracious. So I just went, okay, well, this is just definitely, okay, out of my zone. And it just worked. And we rollerbladed at 10 that morning. We went for a smoothie. We went for a walk. It was till 6 o'clock that day. And I was like, okay, like this is just, it kind of from day one, it just was easy and simple and yeah, out of my
What
zone.
was different about him? Like, yeah, what, aside from his job, what stood
Yeah.
out about him?
Uh, we are the same people. So, and I think you go back to, and I learned much, much more from you later on, but I think when you really go to foundations and look at values and say, what is it that you value? And I was starting at that point, really looking at myself and starting to figure out for myself, okay, I'm driven by my values, right? This is kind of where my base is. And just in having conversations with him, I was like, oh my goodness gracious. It was just, we aligned the same. We were kind of the similar people in both of our relationships, right? So, both of our exes were very similar to one another in personality. So we had the similar personality in the contradiction of it. And it just became, I think, yeah, we valued the same things. I think we had gone through similar kind of separations. Our kids, our parenting style was similar. And go ahead. And yeah, it just worked. And it was never that easy before. So.
Yeah, so a sense of easiness and just the shoe fitting, so to speak, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
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 So what do you love most about your relationship with Andre?
It's equal. It is truly equal. I'm his support. He's my support. There's that piece of it's a balance. He can sense if something's off. I know if something's off. It's just that kind of even flow in regards to doing it kind of seamlessly. But it's been it from the beginning. But also too, it's the appreciation of each other. I truly appreciate him and everything about him. And I don't take him for granted, and I don't take any of that for granted, and he doesn't either. So I think it's just a genuine appreciation every day that I feel that I'm appreciated and valued by him, but I give the exact same back to him. So I think, yeah, that's what works.
Yeah. And you guys have how many kids between the two of you?
We have 4. But actually only 3 live with us, and every 2 weeks. So I have my 2 children, and he has his one of his sons, and his other son remains 100% with his mom. So there's the 4/3 kind of combo.
Yeah, and we were talking about this just before the call started, but how has the blending of families gone?
It's gone well. I think though. I don't think it went well, just it happened to go well. I think we're good parents. I think we're very receptive. I think we both knew our kids. We kind of knew how to kind of move forward, move back, kind of navigate them, kind of do the timing appropriately with things. And we didn't encounter any major challenges. But for the first few months, I was very much in tune with, is everyone going okay? Is everything going okay? To try to do that. But there's some, and we parent together. If I overrule him or he overrules me, we kind of laugh and go, oops. I didn't mean to, it's, didn't realize you already made that call, and, so just that back and forth, it works.
I think that's one of the things that impresses me about you guys, because blending families is challenging at the best of times, but it's how you seem to have this, you've kind of giving each other a clean slate. Like oftentimes people bring so much emotional baggage to a relationship that their fights aren't just about what's happening here. It's about all the past history, but it seems like you guys have really done a good job of leaving that in the past and just dealing with the present moment and what needs to be done. And, having a lot of goodwill towards each other, right? Which allows you to get through the bumps that you might have in blending a family. At least that's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, no, it is. And I think, I think I had come to the relationship, and I wouldn't say healed myself, but much more knowledgeable of myself. So I knew my pressure points. I know kind of what can get me going, or, and I'm aware of that. So I'll kind of, realize, okay, if I'm getting a little annoyed with something, it's because of something else. So I think I just got better self-awareness of myself to realize, okay, what really is going on is nothing to do with the other. And I think he did as well. He had done kind of a similar course, which was very interesting. He had done one, I think he was the only man out of, I think 8 other ladies, and one of his lady friends had dragged him off to it, but he'd gone to all the classes. So he had kind of, come as well with a bit of a clean slate, and kind of, I'm here and we're going forward, and the past is behind. So I think both of us kind of came again at kind of just the same level, or at the same time.
Yeah. So how would you say your life has changed for the better since we met a couple of years ago?
Well, I think, in regards to the big things, yes, there's my relationship, and, there's my job. So those are 2, big things. But I think it was the sense of, and I've even gone back to it in regards to, the COVID has been hard on everybody, no matter what you do for a living, or who you are, or where you are. I think it's been hard on everyone mentally. And I think I just have the mental strength now. I've got the mental strength to know, okay, I'm tired, I need to take a step back, or I've got the mental strength to say I need to reach out to someone, or I need, I think before I just used to ignore everything and kind of push it down, and just try to put that brave face forward and kind of hide behind it. And I was always running from it. So I think, out of everything that has changed, I think what it is I can face anything, and I can face it alone. If I had to face it alone, I could. And I think I believe that, whereas before it was, I was putting up a brave face, but I think it was why I was so tired, because that was so exhausting to pretend, or not necessarily pretend, but just to try to not complain, but really be struggling, whereas now it's, it's those aren't a struggle, or I can bounce back easier, or, that type of thing.
Yeah, I remember us talking about that a lot, about you would push down your feelings and ignore what your body was telling you and just keep going on. And so to the outside world, it looked like you had everything together, but you were just, really, truly exhausted. And when you started listening to your body, that's when your energy started picking up. And I can tell even by how you're talking now, it's a world of difference from a couple of years ago, where you're actually giving yourself what you need and giving yourself permission, It's been great watching your journey, Tracy. Like, it's, truly fantastic. Every aspect of it. I mean, watching your energy improve, watching you take better care of yourself, getting a new job, getting a great guy, getting engaged, buying a house. You bought a new car too, if I remember correctly. I seem to remember that.
Yes. The car was, very, very exciting. Yeah. I only got $500 for the previous car. It was really, really, really bad. So this was This was really, I took it to the ground. I didn't have an ounce left in it. So yeah, my car was pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it was really just like a total life makeover. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
the Tracy from 2 years ago, it's almost unrecognizable from who you are now. And I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
So do you have any last words of wisdom for the ladies here who maybe aren't quite where you are at yet, wanting to get there, maybe feeling a little discouraged with where they're at the present time? Yeah, any advice?
Um, I think really what did it for me, or any advice, is this group. I think it was, a lot of my personality was, I was kind of keeping things down, and I didn't really want to let anyone know truly how, or most of them were married and had kids and didn't really understand anyway. But I really found this group was a place to be honest to myself and to be honest with one another, and to just really turn around. And I think, just I think it was the energy I would get from, my fellow mates. Every week somebody, had a bad week one week, but they came back 2 weeks later and they were on top of the world because something happened. And if I had had a bad day or even start of it, I was on top of the world with them, because I was like, wow, this is great. And I found it was a safe space. Like, it truly was. As you said, I didn't have a lot of time, but I dedicated, it was, I did my class. I did my homework. I showed up, and I did. I really made some great relationships with the ladies. I still, see, their little Facebook posts, and what they're up to and what they're doing and stuff. And it just felt wonderful to know that there was somebody else that kind of truly was like me, and to truly say, you know what, they're having a great day today, I'm going to have a good day eventually. Like, even if I wasn't, if I was on a bit of a spill and I wasn't, having a good week or two, well, you know what, somebody really just did really well. And then one week I'd be like, oh geez, I'm the one who's actually doing well this week. And it was really, I felt, just a journey for all of us. Yeah, I really had a hard time last summer in regards to stopping. And I remember I said to you, I can't. I said, I'm trying to pack up a house and sell a house. And I said, I don't have time to keep it up. But I said, I miss my gang. I miss the relationships. So don't undermine these relationships, because I think that's the most important thing. No matter, hopefully, your guy comes, and hopefully he's the guy that stays because he's the right guy. But if he doesn't, he's not the right guy, then don't worry about it. Like, and I know I say it to say don't worry about it, but it was kind of the attitude I had with Andre, and said, if I see anything that's not right, I'm gonna decide to move on, and I was really strong in that, and really determined, so, but I never ever did. And we're in a wonderful relationship, but I just remember feeling that sense of, no, I've got me, and whoever this person is will be an addition to me, but I'm not changing me. Not changing my peeps, and not changing my ladies or anything. So, I mean, Andre right down now is downstairs with the kids in the basement playing poker, Texas Hold'em, so I could sit in the room that had the good Wi-Fi for this call. So he's supporting every single one of you right now in hiding them, because we have an open concept house. So I was like, where am I going to do the call? It's got the good reception, and I got good lighting. And I said, where are you guys going to go? So he's down playing poker with them. So
that is the mark of a good partner who's supporting you in the things you're doing. And, Tracy, those are some great words of wisdom. And, I've said it before, and we'll say it many times, but it's the people who show up and do the work, who come to class, who do the exercises. If you miss a week, you get back on track. Those are the ones who get the kind of results that you've achieved, right? Who learn how to get out of their own way, and to use this group as a practicing space for, speaking vulnerably, for sharing how you feel, for voicing your needs and your desires and your concerns. This is a great practice space for that. And I'm glad that you mentioned that tonight, because hopefully that will inspire. It's always hard at the beginning. You feel a little shy. I remember you held back the first, I think, couple months actually. It took you a while to warm up. But when you started sharing, that's when all the changes really started to happen. So it's been great watching your journey. I'm so glad that you were able to come tonight, Tracy, and share your story of inspiration with these ladies. So thank you so much for being with us, and keep me posted. I want to see some wedding pictures.
I know. I'm trying to think, okay, if I shopped online for the wedding band, what am I going to do about a wedding dress? I'm thinking, where do we even go? How do we start? I'm like, oh God. I'm like, it'll figure itself out. It will just work, whatever. But anyway, yeah, I say that's the small stuff. They'll work itself. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Tracy, and best of luck.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.